interest of listening to this book is deciding how you would have chosen differently. We have been guided by a number of factors, among which the reliability of sources is very significant. For certain important battles, there are no such sources. We have also sought to use the selection to indicate changes in the nature of war, some of which can be presented as developments in the art of war. Certainly, the greater complexity that stemmed in the 19th century from needing to respond to rail-borne troops, and in the 20th from mechanized, aerial and submarine warfare, created problems for commanders. We have also sought to consider key battles that determined the fate of people and affected the distribution of power. For example, Quebec, 1759, which ensured that British power and culture would dominate North America. The drama of these clashes varied greatly, but all of them were crucial events in history. It is more difficult to assess what happened on a battlefield than is generally appreciated. When several sources exist, the need to reconcile them suggests the problems of omission facing scholars when they have only one source to rely upon. When it is possible to move from a single source to consider several, there is a welcome deepening of understanding. This underlines the drawback of work that seeks to rely on a limited range of material, a point made by Hans Delbruck, 1848 to 1929, a key figure in the development of German military history, who emphasized the value of the critical examination of sources. This is also true for more recent battles. A paper on the tank strength of German armoured divisions in 1942–43, produced for the official British histories of World War II, argued that casualties and fluctuating replenishment priorities were important factors in variations of actual strength, and commented, "It shows how misleading formal establishments can be compared with the actual and fluctuating establishment of a division, and illustrates the importance of keeping this factor in mind. It doubtless applies to all armies at one time or another in their war careers." Brigadier C.J.C. Maloney added, "I am apt to turn a rather jaundiced eye on strength returns, perhaps because of vague memories of conjuring rabbits out of hats as an adjutant a long time ago. Tank strength was a particular issue because, as Captain Basil Liddell-Hart pointed out, to deduce correct lessons it is necessary above all to determine the tank strengths on either side in any important operations. Reconciling sources involved addressing issues such as how best to distinguish those tanks that were fit for action, and also the treatment of light tanks that were only appropriate for reconnaissance duties. This serves to underline some of the problems with explaining what happened. To state that the contributors have done their best is therefore high praise. These scholarly essays highlight what can be done in throwing light on crucial episodes in world history. The book is divided into 7 chronological parts, each of which contains discussion of battles that were important to the period and also indicates key aspects of warfare at the time. The organization of the chapters, starting with the ancient world and the medieval world, followed by a section each for 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th and 20th centuries, the last extending to include the Gulf War of 2003, reflects both the greater frequency of key battles over the last half-millennium and the availability of sources. This greater frequency was in part due to the expansion in power projection, stemming in turn from the development of ocean-going ships, and also from the willingness to use such vessels in order to create transoceanic maritime empires. This was particularly seen with the Western European powers, whose ships first circumnavigated the globe. Philip II of Spain, reigned 1556–98, after whom the Philippines were named, was the ruler of the first empire on which the sun literally never set. As a result, Western forces were deployed at great distances, for example, by the British, successfully, to Plassey in India in 1757, by the Spaniards, unsuccessfully, to Ayacucho in South America in 18...